Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first digital learning day of the week. Today is Monday, March 16th, and we are going to start our new unit on ecology. So let's talk about what ecology is. Ecology is the study of the interactions of living things and their environment. So we're going to be talking about living things. We're going to be talking about the relationships between them. We're going to talk about all the different places on the planet, food webs and food chains, all those kinds of things. We're going to start off with what are we talking about in an ecosystem. We're going to use these words biotic factors a lot. Biotic factors are the living things in an ecosystem. So the tardigrades, which are teeny tiny little animals that are really cool. Narwhals, I love narwhals. Oak trees, grass, Spanish moss, any living thing. So we've learned about all the kingdoms on the planet, so they're all the living things, and that's what we mean when we say biotic factors. Abiotic factors, however, are the non-living things. So things like sunshine, clouds, the atmosphere, water, rocks, air, temperature, all of those things, a lot of them you can't see, some of them you can see, like soil. So anything that's non-living, the living things are going to interact with those non-living things. So let's practice. Here's a picture of me at Yosemite National Park several years ago. There's a beautiful mountain range behind me. So what are the abiotic things in this picture? And remember, some of them you can't technically see. So what are some of the abiotic things? See if you can think of some. All right, here's some that I saw. Soil, temperature, air, including oxygen and carbon dioxide. Our plants need the carbon dioxide. We need the oxygen. Our mountains are abiotic. You could say my sunglasses are abiotic and my shirt. But any of those things, those rocks back there by the soil, those are all abiotic things. So what are the biotic things in the picture? Biotic, remember, is living. Bio means life. So the biotic things, I'm a biotic thing. The pine trees, the shrubs, if there's any grass, if there's any little insects crawling around on those trees, pine beetles or any of those things. Maybe there's a bird soaring somewhere in the back that we can't see. All of the living things are the biotic factors. All right, so in our notes, we are going to write down levels of ecological organization. That's our title. And I know we're running out of room on our table of contents. You can just put it at the bottom, or you can worry about the table of contents later. We'll catch up on that when we're back at school. So you're going to be writing about 6 different levels of organization. I'm going to go through them in a minute with definitions and pictures. You don't need to draw any pictures. We're going to do that later. So you're just going to write down an example and the definition in the word. All right, organisms, that's one living thing. Okay, so when we say organism, we just mean a living thing, like a squirrel, or a bacterium, or a protist. Not a virus, though. Viruses are not living, remember. All right, a population is a group of the same species in an area. So if I was going to say squirrels, I would have to be specific and say gray squirrels. Okay, I can't just say squirrels because there's more than one type of squirrel. If I wanted to say bears, I couldn't say a population of bears because there's brown bears and grizzly bears and sun bears and black bears. So you have to be specific when you're talking about a population. The next level up from that is community. This is when we take all the biotic factors in an ecosystem or in an area. So not just the squirrels, but now we're going to add in the trees and the daffodils and the grass and the birds and the insects. So anything that's living in a specific area is called a community. And then we add in the abiotic factors, and we now have what's called an ecosystem. So that is all the biotic and abiotic factors interacting. So we take that same picture with the squirrel and the daffodils and the trees, and now we would add in the water and the air and the clouds and the sunlight and the oxygen and all of those things. So here's just a zoomed in picture of a squirrel interacting with the abiotic factors in an area. And if we take a very large ecosystem, like we're talking about the entire eastern United States, the whole eastern United States is a deciduous forest. So that's a large region with similar climate and organisms. You're going to see gray squirrels all up and down the East Coast. In the West Coast, you might see a different kind of squirrel. Okay, in Africa, you're going to see a different kind of squirrel. But up here, we have our deciduous forest. This is what it looks like in the fall. Beautiful Smoky Mountains there. Rainforest is a type of biome. The tundra is a type of biome. The desert, the coniferous forest, the savanna. There's lots of biomes, and we're going to get more into that later, this unit. And then we're going to put all of that together from the very bottom of the ocean to the very tallest mountain. Anywhere that there's life in between that area is called the biosphere. So in 6th grade, you should have learned about the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, and the atmosphere. So if you took those 3 layers and you just took the living parts of those layers, that's what the biosphere is. So there's not living things way down into the lithosphere, but there is in a small part of the lithosphere. And the hydrosphere definitely has living things. And then part of the atmosphere, not way out, but part of the atmosphere has living things. So that's called the biosphere. So those are the 6 levels you should have written down. Remember, you can pause the video at any time, and you can go back if you need to. You don't have to write this next part down, but if we were to put it all together, it would look something like this. So we've got our individual elk, and then we've got our population of elk. We add in the moose and the bobcat and the owl, and we've got a community with the trees and the grass. We add in this lake and river and the mountains. We got an ecosystem and the air and the clouds, and then we talk about all the living things that's in the forest. This is the taiga right here. That's the area we're talking about. That's the biome, and then we add in the biosphere. We could even go further, and we could start with the molecule, an atom, molecule, cell, tissue, organ, organ system, organism, population, community, ecosystem, biome, biosphere. They missed biome. All right, so now it's your turn. Okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to create this diagram. Okay, now they didn't do a good job here. Don't do this. There are many, many kinds of turtles. There's painted turtles, there's box turtles, there's yellow belly sliders. There's all different kinds of turtles. So if you're going to do a turtle, you have to do a specific turtle. Okay, so you're going to find any kind of paper that you have. It can be a piece of construction paper, it could be drawing paper, it could be copy paper, it could be lined paper, it could be torn out of the very back of your science notebook. Okay, so some kind of paper, you're going to create this diagram. You're going to have all the levels on there, just like this one. You're going to have drawn pictures, okay, and then a little note next to it, just one, a species, all the living things, living and non-living, a little note next to it to help you remember what that is. Now, they are not finished, okay, they didn't color, they didn't finish coloring, they didn't draw their little birds in here, they didn't draw a turtle there, they didn't draw some trees here. You're going to draw your pictures in there. You don't have to have as many, okay, and they don't have to be amazing. Look at their birds, okay, look at their worms. All right, our lessons are supposed to be about 20 minutes. So this has been about 6-7 minutes so far, and then you got the rest of the time to work on this. Tomorrow, if you're not finished with this, you can do a little bit of work on this tomorrow as well, because our lesson's going to be a little bit, leave some extra time for you. Okay, so all the things have to be colored. Choose something you can draw. Snakes are easy. Jellyfish are easy. Okay, color it, label it, have a little note about what each thing means, and put your name on it. All right. We'll talk about how you're going to turn these things in on later this week. We're going to see how many more digital days we need. So I will let you know how to turn this in later on.